Hello and welcome back to another Mound and Blade remake video. So this remake video is how to best win a war. But firstly, thank you very much for everyone and anyone who's been supporting the channel. Thank you very much for helping us get to 1,000 subscribers. I hope you've all had a good Christmas and will have a good new year. And if you are new to the channel, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, as it really does help the channel. It gets you to content quicker, streams quicker, everything quicker, and I really do appreciate it. So please do that. So my top tip for when it comes to a war is you need to plan your strategy and execute it to the letter of the law. Stick to the plan. There is a fine balance between defending and counter-attacking depending on what strategy you want to go with. My strategy has always been a case of I will fight a defensive war to start with, and then I will go into the counter-attack, and then when I'm on the counter-attack I will steamroll kingdoms for fun. Now, I will go into more detail on how I do this and what my opinion on this. And obviously, you guys, if you have a way that you guys win wars, or if you think I've missed anything, or if you think I should be doing something else, chuck it in the comment section below. So, what I mean by this is when another kingdom declares war on the kingdom I'm with, or my kingdom, they will send raiding parties or lords into your lands. I find this is the best time to dig in and start a defensive war. So this is the best time to patrol and respond to the notifications of the raids or the sieges in your territory. By responding to these notifications, you're picking off lords, you're engaging in their lords, picking them off one by one, and it makes it a very easy and a great way to weaken the enemy's armies and the amount of lords that they've got on the land at the time. This also gives you the benefit of being able to upgrade your troops quite quickly, earn you a lot of money via loot and ransoming the lords and ransoming the troops at ransom brokers. Also, the biggest benefit is you're going to gain quite a lot of renown, and this will go in your favor when or if you want to request any of the castles that you will take later on. Now, the biggest weapon I have in my arsenal when I come to fighting a defensive war strategy at the start of my big war plan is by doing what I call siege sniping. Now, what this means is that I will find or respond to notifications where a siege has been committed by a large party, a large war party. This could be a party of about 800 troops. I will then respond to it by going towards that castle or town. I will then allow that war party to engage on the castle or town. Hopefully they've got a good garrison. And at this point, I will only engage in this siege if I have a good war party myself, if I have a good, experienced, a lot of troops. So then what I will do is allow them to commit to the siege. They will attack the town or castle. I will then click on the town or castle myself and join the defending forces. By doing this, I give a major benefit to the siege defenders by having the high tactics myself, my war party of very experienced troops. I then jump in, and then by doing this, you can wipe out war parties which are 4 to 6 times your number. You can wipe out full armies, take multiple prisoners of lords, keep them as your prisoners so you can ransom them yourselves. But also by doing this, you're wiping out full entire armies. You are depleting the enemy. The enemy now has no major threat in your land, but also have no major threats when it comes to defending their own territory. They can now not respond as well, as effectively as they used to be able to if this war party had not just been defeated and they've just been stopped from getting this castle, and now they're going to be at the point of either being my prisoner or they're going to have to go and try and recruit themselves a new war party and have to start from scratch again. Now, once you've picked off enough of their troops or lords, you will notice either a major drop-off in raids, the amount of raids, or the amount of lords that you actually catch in your land. But also, if you do catch any lords that are still raiding in your land, if you start noticing that their troop experience are getting very low, as in they are low-tier troops, and majority of them are the lower-tier troops, and there's not many experienced troops. This is the point, if you catch multiple lords like this, where there's very, very low recruit troops, this is the point where you need to then switch onto the attack. This is a very good point. They're still trying to overextend themselves by trying to still use very low XP troops to raid. This is the point where you now will feel that they have not much in their lands to defend with. This is a point where we need to go onto a counter-attack. This is a great indicator that they are weak, and it is time to use the momentum that you've now stored up and release this momentum onto them. So as I said, this is now the chance to counter-attack. So if you still at this point have a strong warring party yourself, this is now the chance for you to go into now the enemy territory and now raid their villages. By raiding their villages and raising them to the ground, you are now cutting off their chance to recruit from these villages, as they all need time to get over being raided, to being able to be functional again. So at this point, by going around, raiding as many of their villages as possible, you are not only killing off their recruitment chances, you are gaining good loot to sell, but also the less villages they have to recruit from, the less they have a chance to now recruit better and stronger to try and counter you again, as now you're in their lands. They will now struggle by doing this. So take their villages, wipe them out if you're not intending to use them to recruit from in the future, destroy them, take the loot, sell the loot, use that loot to obviously buy yourself better armor and more troops. This means you can now set off the domino effect by now sieging castles and the towns, as lords who will respond will either have a very small warring party themselves or will only have low level troops, and these guys will not engage you as they know that you will easily destroy them. They are really just there to watch at this point. So pay them no attention and just start taking castles, start sieging castles. But I would do this on the same area. So you will meet very little resistance and start sieging on the castles and the towns, and you can take a lot of territory very quickly, very easily. You will need to then defend these newly taken castles and towns, because if you don't garrison them, because obviously if the king decides to give it to someone else, you will lose your troops. So I usually kind of leave them empty, or I will recruit the some of the prisoners and then just chuck them into the garrison. So then I will then keep an eye on these castles and towns in a very close area, so only take them in the same area. Keep an eye on them, carry on attacking lords, attacking villages, try and see if you can take another town or a castle. Keep your eye on notifications whether or not these get sieged upon by some lords, and at that point then you may have to then decide whether or not it is now time to stop going on the attack and just defend the new territory, as obviously you don't want to lose a newly taken castle to a lord with 30 troops and then have to spend the time to then take it back off them again. There's no point doing this. So you then keep an eye on the notifications, take the time to then defend these areas, because it's like a honeypot now. These castles and towns are now like a honeypot. These lords will still flock to them. You can still catch them. You can still kill them, take more prisoners and everything like that. And just wait for the king to make his decision on who he's going to give these castles and towns to. Don't be surprised if he tries to give you one, and at that point you need to either make a decision whether or not you want it, or give it to somewhere else, or at this point, if you do take it, then whether or not you garrison it properly to then be able to go home, re-recruit, and try and jump on the domino effect still more and just keep that momentum going, or whether or not you garrison it with all your good troops, run back, go and recruit a load of recruits, chuck them into one of your garrisoned castles at home, and then take all the best troops again, and then go out on the attack again. You're going to have to make these decisions. This is the point where this really depends on what you guys want to do. If the king gives it to another lord, that lord will still need time to be able to get to the new castle, to be able to garrison it, so you will still need to defend it as well as you can to allow him to be able to garrison in it. And then obviously once these are garrisoned, and if it's not you garrison it, you can then go on the attack and try and keep on taking more castles and more towns. And obviously this is just going to continuously weaken them, take away recruiting villages, take away money, take away lands, everything. This will now put them onto a point where they will want to sue for peace. Whether or not your king decides yes or no will largely depend on that point. But there is a good chance the enemy kingdom will want peace very quickly. So this is why I say make sure you defend these newly taken territories, as the AI lords are not as bright as you. They're not as clever as to deciding to reinforce your attacks, unless you're the actual marshal, and then they will help garrison these newly taken towns or castles. At the same time, if you are thinking you're starting to run a little bit low on decent troops, sometimes by taking the castles or towns, these castles and towns could be completely full of your own troops well, not your own troops, but troops belonging to your kingdom who are locked up in the prisoner tower. So at this point, by taking the castle or town, you can recruit these troops to your party, thus replenishing it very quickly. There are many times where you could have lost a lot of troops in the siege, so taking the castle or town, and then can easily recruit all these new troops again and replenish your numbers to full and being able to keep moving. So keep an eye on how many prisoners like each castle and towns have in the little tab that you can hover over the actual castle, as it will tell you, and then you can decide whether or not it would still be worth you trying to take that castle, as you will be able to then decide whether or not you can replenish your army to a good enough level afterwards by looking at them. Now, by repeating this kind of war strategy, you can grind down kingdoms very quickly, or you can grind them absolutely into nothing and defeat them completely. Now, this is a strategy, like I say, which I use pretty much all the time. This is my main strategy. This is what has always worked for me, will always work for me, and it works to my advantage. I haven't really come across any other way that is a better way for me, at least, because the problem is if you just go straight into attacking the enemy territory, there's a good chance multiple lords will then surround you, engage on you, and you could be defeated in open battle. So there is a big problem sometimes if you go into the enemy territory too quickly. So that's why I always trying to fight a defensive war first, then go on the attack, because I've then killed a lot of their lords already, whittled down their armies, whittled down their good troop levels, and then I can jump on and get into their territory and take as much of it as possible. So I have hoped you've used this video to your advantage. I hope you've enjoyed my opinions and my comments and everything, and I hope you've enjoyed the actual video itself. If you think I've missed anything, or if you have a tactic that you prefer or you think is better, please chuck it down in the comment section below. I do read it all. I will read it. I will respond to it if it needs responding to. And I do appreciate it, guys. I love it when you guys chuck comments on. I love it when you guys, hit likes. And I love it when, obviously, any of you and all of you subscribe. It really does mean the world, and it does make it beneficial for me to keep the channel going. And like I say, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've had a good Christmas, a good New Year, and I hope to see you all in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the future.